I got my son playing golf, but I mean, I worked at golf. I never played.
I don't have that kind of time.
If we rule the world, what we do right now,
It was.
we rule the world, and we do.
Alberta, how you doing?
I can't tell.
Elizabeth.
Do you know her?
Yeah, she's pastor.
Let me see.
Oh, this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I left her.
Yeah.
Is she here?
He's here.
She's here. Okay. Let's go.
Miss Barbara.
Good morning. You're right there.
Excuse me.
It's 9 o'clock. Quorum is present. All legal notices have been posted, and this court is duly called. Can I get a motion to open the court?
So move.
Second.
It's been moved in second. Is there any unreadiness? All those in favor, let it be known by the usual sound of voting.
Aye.
Those who oppose, same sign. Chairs in the affirmative. Will the bailiff please open the court?
All rise. Dallas County Commissioners Court is now in session for the April 2019 term. The Honorable Commissioner John Wiley Price presiding. Please remain standing for the invocation.
The invocation today is a guest of Judge Jenkins, and he is en route. Reverend Elizabeth Mosley is an ordained minister in the United Methodist Church and has been on staff at Highland Park United Methodist Church for over 13 years. She is a senior associate minister and director of special projects at the church, which includes a domestic violence ministry, an addiction recovery ministry, a marriage ministry, and parenting ministry. Amongst her work in the area of faith and justice, Elizabeth coordinated and led a series of ecumenical trips down to the detention facility outside of Tornillo, Texas, for minors who have crossed the border and who were separated from their parents. The groups led worship and offered prayer for youth held in the centers, and she's been a resident in Dallas County for more than 13 years.
All right.
Thank you.
A little traffic today. We're so glad to have my pastor here.
That's right. Okay, thank you so much. Would you all join me and bow in prayer? O Holy One, as we gather today and our tasks lie before us, we pause for a moment and are grateful. We are grateful for this day. We are grateful for the opportunity to work, to lead, to put ourselves to the task of serving and caring for the residents of Dallas County. Lord, as we bend our thoughts to what is before us, keep in our minds the people that we serve. The residents in our county, the families and the individuals. Keep in our minds all those who are parents, all those who are children. Keep in our minds the youth, the adults, and the aged, all those who live and work and strive together to better their lives and their communities. Remind us, O Sacred One, that we are all the same, and that the superficial and transitory differences to which we often give too much attention, they vanish when we allow ourselves to be confronted by our collective humanity. Oh Lord, let our love for our families, our care for our neighbors, our desire to improve our communities and our cities and our county, as well as our dedication to the work today, unite us. Oh God, I pray for every person in this room and any others who will be a part of this work. I pray that they might be encouraged and strengthened, that they may be inspired and motivated. I pray that they engage in disagreements with grace and collective effort with resilience. Most of all, Lord, may they share a vision of hope, that all who live in this county, in every home, in every zip code, would experience security and peace, work and reward, liberty and community. God, give them this vision towards which they strive every day to make a reality. And thank you, God. Thank you for all of the work that has brought us to this moment and all of the people who have served to make it happen. And now, most merciful God, we offer this prayer to you with all that we are and all that we have. Amen.
Amen.
And all the people said amen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. She did that. Oh, here we go. I guess we all get the pass. Oh, no. Oh, no. This is just like y'all did dirt and men tigers.
All right, I think you're up with some, Commissioner Price has some resolutions.
Took my master's cap off for the invocation, but other than that, since I didn't do I got a resolution for Tiger later on.
You're not going to give him a medal?
Yeah, medal. He got the medal.
Yeah, good. I know.
Yeah, he and I got.
I hear that from he got the green jacket.
Yeah, we got the green.
Pretty good, that's good.
Hear that from the
So you agree with our president that he should get
well.
that Medal of Honor? I mean, listen, we have to point out areas of compromise, right?
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, Dr. Joseph Carlos and the delegation, will you please come forward? Dr. Joseph Carlos and the delegation who is with him, please come forward. There's a number of them. Come on. Yeah.
The whole room is going to stand up. Hey, Dr. Parnell.
Yeah. Dr. Parnell, Miss Barbara Watkins, part of that Parkland delegation.
Yeah.
The resolution reads, whereas Dr. Joseph Carlos is a Michigan native and one of the founding physicians of Carlos and Parnell, MD, PA, which has been in existence since 1981, where he is a local legend in his service as an obstetrics and gynecologist practitioner. And whereas Dr. Joseph Carlos has amassed an impressive academic and professional vita, which include a Bachelor of Arts, Western Michigan University, Doctor of Medicine at Michigan State University, and completed his internship and residency here at Parkland Memorial and UT Southwestern Hospitals. And whereas Dr. Joseph Carlos is an active member of the medical staff of Medical City Hospital and has served in several capacities, including president of the medical staff, thereby garnering the respect and admiration of the medical community here and around the nation. And whereas Dr. Joseph Carlos is a devout Christian man and a dutiful chairman of the Deacon Board and Men's Choir at the New Hope Baptist Church, who is renowned for the incorporation of the Christian faith through prayer with his patient, and regional president of Sigma Pi Phi Boule Fraternity and Alpha Phi Alpha. And whereas Dr. John Carlos is a loving husband and a father who holds and dotes on his wife Hazel and their 3 beautiful children, Joseph, Jordan, and Margin, and 3 grandchildren and 2 daughter-in-laws who have emulated him in work ethic and talent. Therefore, be it resolved that the Dallas County Judge and the Commissioner's Court does hereby, and with a great sense of regard, recognize and salute Dr. John Carlos upon the announcement of his well-deserved retirement, and be it further resolved that this court, along with the citizens of Dallas County, express our appreciation for the service he has rendered as a physician, and I so move.
And I probably second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously.
Dr. Parnell, I'm going to ask you to come forward and say something before I get Dr. Carlos.
Thank you, Court. I want to thank you for recognizing my partner who I've been in practice with for some period of time. I think you can just look behind you here and see what Dr. Carlos means to this community. I first met Dr. Carlos some 42 years ago when we were the first 2 African Americans to be in the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology at Parkland Hospital. And as you can imagine, 42 years ago, Dallas was different. We later graduated and have now been in practice for greater than 37 years. Dr. Carlos is a living example of what it means to be a loving husband, a committed father, a community leader, and a compassionate and caring physician, all wrapped in Christian values. It's not a day that passes by since Dr. Carlos has announced his retirement, that there hadn't been a patient in the office with tears in her eyes because he was departing. Dr. Carlos recognizes the good in us all. His bond is his word. That's who he is. Dr. Carlos, your patients, your staff, your colleagues, your friends, and most of all, the citizens of Dallas County will miss you as a practicing physician in Dallas County, but we all wish you and your wife, Miss Carlos, well in your retirement together. They're going to retire together as a couple. I will personally miss you for your wise counsel, your faith, and your unwavering support. But most of all, I'll just miss walking down the hall and just talking to you. Lastly, I want to end with a comment by Dwight Moore that stands prominently in Dr. Carlos's office, and it really characterizes who he is. And I quote, "If I take care of my character, my reputation will take care of itself." That's exactly who he is, Dr. Carlos. Your character and your reputation will live on in Dallas. Thank you for all those years.
Now, you're not being remorseful because you brought the federal judge down here with you. And then it looks like every doctor in town is here, you know.
Giving respect to the Commissioner's Court of Dallas County, I thank you for this great honor, not one solicited, but accepted and appreciated while I yet live. To to all who have come to celebrate this occasion with me, I say thank you. I have tried to be a servant because it is said, this serving is beneath you, leading is beyond you. Lastly, the motto of Carlos and Parnell, MDA, says God, family, work. Our wives and our husbands may think otherwise, but we've always striven to treat our patients as we would our families. There's a cup that sits on my desk that is inscribed with these words, Lord, as I treat my patients, help me to be wise. Let me see their problems through your discerning eyes. Guide me, Lord, and use me in everything I do. For you are the great physician. I thank you so much for this honor.
Judge Lindsay, you got so many, and Dr. Watson, I think you got all these people here.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for your service, Dr. Carlos. And, you know, if y'all want to post up here for a photo, you would like this. This is historical. I don't want you to miss what Dr. Parnell said earlier with regards to 42 years ago, what Dallas looked like. And and the first. So that's some other doctor.
Dr. Parnell.
I love Dr.
Yeah.
Dr. Parnell. She
It's-
back there.
Yeah, come on.
Like I said, they were the first one delivering mass.
Ms. Parnell. Got the daughter doctor in here.
Yeah.
Man, this is a generational thing. Sure, come on. Well, that's what I kept telling them, come on. And the rest of the partners, yeah. Dr. Parnell's daughter is a physician. Yeah. All the physicians.
The camera.
I'm embarrassed.
Good. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For the judges that are here.
Yes, please, sure, judges, I saw Federal Judge Lindsay, Sam Lindsay, and I saw some other, somebody else here? Dr. Watson and all of them. Yeah, I saw Dr. Watson and some of them.
Dr. Parnell.
Momentous.
Okay. Good? You good?
I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
And have a good time.
Thank you.
Hey, Dr. Parnell.
Dr. Parnell?
I took a ton of pictures, sent them to you. So if you don't get them, let me know. We'll figure it out.
Okay. Thank you. And as they, as they exit, Sergeant Mickey Tolbert, and that delegation from the Sheriff's Department. Where's Captain Sheila Bass?
Oh, she ain't in uniform.
Without the uniform,
My gosh.
I always, yeah,
Yeah, I was giving her a hard time.
yes. I usually don't recognize them.
Yeah. Okay.
Sheriff gonna come down?
Sheriff's coming, yeah, I was wondering where she was. Okay, Sheriff's back there? And any other that delegation from the Sheriff's Department?
There she is.
Okay,
Sheriff
there we
is
go.
here.
This resolution reads, whereas Dallas County has a long and rich history of exemplary employees who soar above and stretch beyond the call of duty for the sake of our citizens and our communities. And whereas Sergeant Mickey Tolbert is one of the 5 siblings born in Hamburg, Arkansas, graduated from Hamburg High School and joined the United States Navy, where he served as a Navy Tactical Data Systems Operator. And whereas Sergeant Mickey Tolbert came into the employ of Dallas County on February 24th, 1987 as a detention service officer with the Dallas County Sheriff's Department, and his initial assignment was at George Allen Jail. And whereas Sergeant Mickey Tolbert was promoted to the position of Deputy 1 and graduated from the Dallas County Sheriff's Department Basic Police Science class in 1989 and was promoted again in June of 1998 to Senior Sergeant, providing leadership to the detention personnel, bailiff, fugitive transport officers, and later accepted an assignment in the North Texas Auto Theft Task Force in 2006. And whereas Sergeant Mickey Tolbert has served the multi-jurisdictional North Texas Auto Task Force as a liaison officer to the Collin County Sheriff's Office, Denton County District Attorney's Office, the Lancaster Police Department, the National Insurance Crimes Bureau, the Texas Department of Public Safety, the DeSoto Police Department, and the Dallas County Hospital District Police. And whereas Sergeant Mickey Tolbert has taken on a number of special duties, which includes his services in the Sheriff's Honor Guard Unit, the Texas Police Games, the Santa Cop, and National Adoption Day, and was commended on numerous occasions by the department's district attorney's office, the judicial staff, as well as from other public and private organizations. And whereas Sergeant Mickey Tolbert has actively refined his craft and passion, as a result, holds a Master Peace Officer license, maintained his jailer proficiency license, and is a certified T-Close instructor who is well steeped in police training and proficient in police skills and tactics. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Dallas County Judge and Commissioners Court do hereby, and with a great sense of adulation and pride, congratulate Sergeant Mickey Tolbert and express our devout appreciation and best wishes as he retired after 32 years of committed and valued service for Dallas County to the public that he served. And I so move.
I proudly second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Sheriff?
Thank you to the court this morning. Thank you so much for this appropriate acknowledgement. Sergeant Tolbert has been an integral part, most recently, of our Auto Theft Task Force. But prior to that, just being a member of the Sheriff's Department, and he doesn't know this, but I remember meeting him many, many years ago when I was not a member of the Dallas County Sheriff's Department, and so I had an opportunity to observe him in his work. And so your work goes before you, it speaks before you. So I recognize that he's going to be missed here. His work ethic is just unspeakable, and we're this is a bittersweet moment for us. We are sad to see him go, but we're glad to see him move to the next chapter at his own desire. God bless you, my friend.
Captain Sheila Carter Bass.
Good morning, and I'd like to thank Judge Jenkins and the court for recognizing Sergeant Tolbert today. I assumed command of the North Texas Auto Theft Task Force in 2017. By that time, Sergeant Tolbert had been working as an administrative and field sergeant and field commander since 2006, so almost 11 years. But it seems only like yesterday when I came in and I said, I'm going with you. Well, I didn't quite make that, so I'm here bidding farewell to a great employee. A great employee is one that not only takes initiative, but he inspires supervisors just as he himself is inspired by his commanding officer. And I want to thank Sergeant Tolbert for being my inspiration at such a late time in my career. From friendship to mentorship to leadership, you have given the Sheriff's Department a warm kinship in every possible form. Sergeant Tolbert is very good with accounting tasks, and he's very meticulous in his duties. I believe his wife, his beautiful wife, Wanda, that's standing next to him, described it best when she shared her belief there was no better career for him. Law enforcement was the best career for his personality. He's objective, calm-mannered, a rational thinker, and just. You know, it's always rewarding to reap the benefits of what you have achieved, and for most of us, it's at the retirement. But in Sergeant Tolbert's case, it was several years ago. How many years is it? 23 years ago, while he was out watching over a prisoner at Parkland Hospital, where he was multitasking, watching a prisoner and wooing a lady that was in with her niece. And so, unbeknownst to him at that time, it was his future wife, and that's where he met Wanda, in the emergency room at Parkland. So the Sheriff's Department has given him a lot. Although Dallas County and the Sheriff's Department is losing an excellent employee, we hope that you and Wanda enjoy this time. Enjoy every minute of your retirement, whether it's cruising or working out at the local fitness center or jamming to old school oldies. He's an avid DJ, y'all. We have enjoyed every minute of working with you. It's sad to see you go, but we're happy that you've reached this special milestone. It was a pleasure working with you, and your loss will be greatly felt. Thank you for your time and dedication while you worked with us. We wish you many blessings. Thank you.
You know, I used to tell during the last Parkland campaign, I had a tattoo said, if something happens to me, take me to Parkland. I think I'm gonna go to Memphis. I don't even know why. But anyway. Yeah. But I'm sorry.
You never say where the tattoo was.
Continue, Sergeant.
I want to thank the court for honoring me today, and I've enjoyed my stay with Dallas County. It's been a privilege and an honor to serve the citizens of Dallas County. Enjoyed every minute. I appreciate everything the captain, sheriff, and everything that my wife has done for me. I want to also thank God because keeping me safe during these 32 years, because it's very dangerous out there. So, and I want to definitely thank God for that. And thank you again for this honor.
Thank you. Tell
Kevin, I hold him responsible for that Senate Bill too. Okay.
Thank you, Captain. Appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you. Next is William Dean McDaniel and that delegation of great county employees. Come on down, William. That's all right. Let him come on. Come
on, man. You got something to say? You go ahead and say
He
it.
got something to say. Come on. Let him come on.
Oh, there too.
Oh, yeah. Come on. Yeah, you may want to. Don't say something. That's all right. He's okay. This resolution says that whereas the Dallas County Commissioners Court takes special notice when an individual is given long and faithful service to Dallas County, and whereas William Dean McDaniel was born in Dallas, Texas, he attended Bryan Adams High School, and he is a journeyman electrician. And whereas William has two children, Shawanda McAllister and Brittany McDaniel, and he enjoys spending time with his grandkids. And whereas William began his Dallas County career on March the 4th, 1993, in the Facilities Management Department as a maintenance technician, and whereas William has continuously served in the Facilities Management Department in positions with increasing responsibilities to include assistant building mechanic and lead electrician. And whereas on October the 5th, 2013, William transferred to the Public Service Program as the lead electrician, where he currently serves in that position. And whereas William has served Dallas County continuously and diligently, this says 26, but we went back and did some calculations, it's 27 years, William. Now therefore, we're not going to take anything from you from Dallas County. Now therefore be it resolved that the Dallas County Commissioners Court does hereby recognize and extend sincere appreciation to William Dean McDaniel for 27 years of faithful service, and further expresses best wishes on this his retirement, and I so move.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay.
I want to thank the court.
This is where, I kind of come in and this was a program really that was started back in the late 90s. Everybody talks about all this bail reform, reformation. We've been managing this thing for a long time. I told somebody the other day, I've been a commissioner 34 years, and when Judge Steele and I did the night court with examining trials, that's what we were doing. It was reformation. The district attorney's office was represented. The public got a chance to deal with it, whether that was probable cause. People's bonds were reasonable, commensurate with what they were doing. Let go. So then comes along public service, and I got to give credit what credit due. This was really the initiative of Commissioner Jim Jackson. And Commissioner Jackson said, why are we allowing people to do, at that particular time, we were at Decker, and we were going in and out, what they call work release. And so we said, why don't we do a program of public service? And of course, the legislature had passed the law that talked about what they could get for public service. and we needed to assemble a group. And I want you to understand that this group has saved, and Ryan and I go back and forth all the time, tremendous dollars to the citizens of Dallas County, because they're the core, and they take individuals who would have ordinarily been detained, and they take and work them into the service of Dallas County. So whether they're painters, electricians, carpenters, I mean, they do that, and they leverage it. I think the last time we did a report, we probably came somewhere in the neighborhood of over $1 million of direct, what we call direct services at that time was minimum wage. And so I just want to thank you, William, because let me just tell you, in your crafts, I don't care, and Tony Jackson and I, was my director now, it's hard to find. I mean, you just like we talked about that physician a few minutes ago, good electricians, lead journeymen, they know what the hell they're doing, you know, good plumbers, they are difficult. We started programs in our juvenile department trying to get people into that, you know, that vocational pipeline. So you can, you service Dallas County extremely well. And so we just want to thank you and your family for your service. I know here a few years ago your wife transitioned, but you continued to work, and you continued to work with some you know, physical challenges, but you continued to labor through that. And so to his family, we just want to say thank you. He's earned this retirement, and anything else you want to say?
Thank y'all for the opportunities.
Thank you for what you added.
Who are the little ones?
Yeah. Who are those little guys?
This one, Hannah. This is Hannah, my granddaughter.
Oh,
Hi,
And
Hannah.
my grandson
Hello.
Harrison.
And what's his name?
Harrison.
Harrison, no tackling.
Harrison.
But again, William, thank you for your
Thank
you for your service. And thank all of you.
Thank you for your time.
She likes the green jacket. You okay,
She wants to
Harrison?
be in the middle of things.
Do you want to be in the picture? Someone else
Come
will
on, let's
take
do a
it?
picture. Let's do a picture. Oh, okay. Oh, what's that? Oh, yeah.
You didn't know that, Commissioner
No, I know. I'm a little
Price?
slow. I didn't know who that was.
I checked it. So sorry, I'm sorry.
Got it? Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for everything.
And
Oh, I
got
need
the last
to. I want to second Clara Brown.
Okay. We'll do that. And last but definitely not least,
Miss Clara Lee Brown Trimble.
yes. I'm going to read things. Ms. Clara Brown Trimble and a delegation to come forward. I got Precinct 5 folks in the house and everybody else. I'm going, before I read the resolution, you know, and, you know, sometimes I think we get it, as the kids say, we get it all twisted in terms of, you know, what family really is. And I really want to thank Judge Juan Hasso. He said, I would like to express my congratulations to Clara for reaching the pinnacle of her career with Dallas County. She oversaw the growth of our office over her tenure as a chief clerk to make it one of the most productive precincts in Dallas County. Best wishes on a well-deserved retirement. Want the record to be real clear. Judge Juan Hasso, Justice of the Peace, Precinct 5, Place 2. And this resolution
will say, whereas Dallas County has a long and rich history of exemplary employees who soar above and stretch beyond the call of duty for the sake of our citizens and our community. And whereas Clara Lee Brown Trimble is a native Texan who was born in Littlefield, Lamb County, Texas, graduated from Olympic High School in Santa Monica, California, and after returning to Texas, became certified Justice of the Peace Court Clerk, Texas State University, then immersed herself in the community socially and professionally. And whereas Clara Lee Brown Trimble has amassed a good reputation with Dallas County since she began her career in June of 1992 as a constable clerk for the late Constable Joe Bagby, and was promoted to chief clerk in that same office in May of 1993 and remained there until the office was dissolved in December 2001. And whereas Clara Lee Brown Trimble was rehired as a brief period for title line clerk in the treasurer's office for tax assessor David Childs in February 2002, and whereas she transferred to Justice of the Peace Juan Households Court by April and by October of 2002, became the chief clerk and has served in that capacity since that date. And whereas Clara Lee Brown Trimble is well known in Dallas County for her outstanding service to several civic causes, including but not limited for her appointment to the advisory board of Martin Luther King Jr. Community Center, Assistant Treasurer, NAACP, Dallas Branch, Registrar, Dallas County Elections Department, member of the Concord Baptist Church, and whereas Clara Lee Brown Trimble wears the title of Diva.
Yes.
And is distinguished in a snazzy dresser whose award-winning hats and accessories are always laminated and, I'll say illuminating, and the proud wife of Norman Trimble, a son and his wife, two stepdaughters, their husband, and their 4 grandchildren, who lovingly call her Grand Lady. Therefore, be it resolved that the county judge and the commissioner's court do hereby, and with great sense of adulation and pride, salute and congratulate Clara Lee Brown Trimble as she announces this retirement after 26 years of committed and distinguished service. And I so move.
And I proudly second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Grand
Lady.
Gotcha. Clear.
That's the biggest corsage I've ever seen. And commend you
You haven't seen nothing yet.
on that corsage.
No.
And the first one I've seen with diamonds in it.
I like the necklace. To the court, to the judge and the commissioners, thank you. I am so honored to have served Dallas County all these years. Every department that I've worked in, they let me be myself. And if you came to enter the office, I was myself. I would also like the constable that I hired when he was first out of service. He's a newly elected constables now because what I did for him.
She's correct. I do owe her a lot. I remember meeting her at the age of 18 years old back in 1992. And I still remember that day. She embraced me and took me under her own wing because my father worked alongside.
Both of y'all were 18 in 1992?
But anyway, it's been an honor to have known her all my life. She's been kind of like a mentor to me within Dallas County. She's family. She's not only a friend, but she's going to be a lifelong friend. And when I heard the day that she was going to retire, I was sad, but yet rejoiceful. And she has had a wonderful, illustrious career here in Dallas County. And I can't oversay it, but it's been such an honor to have known her all these years. And I will continue looking up to her. I will continue reaching out to her for some mentorship and some guidance. And so we've come a long way, Claire. And you've had a wonderful career, and it's my pleasure to have known you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilman.
Judge Hassel, she's going to speak on behalf of all the clerks that I've hired down through the years. Say something.
Put me on the spot. Good morning. Clara, you are one of those rare people who instantly becomes a friend instead of just a co-worker or boss. There are no words to truly reflect how much we will miss working with you. Not to worry though, I'll still follow you on Facebook and see what you're doing, because we know Claire is doing something. Now get out there and show the world just how much fun is possible, because we all know that you will have a great life. Best wishes for a very happy retirement, and thank you for everything you've done for us directly and indirectly. It's much appreciated, and we shall miss working with you and your fun self. We're going to miss you.
Thank you.
Miss Clara.
And you, my lady, are not done yet either. You can tell that.
Thank you so much.
How many people bring you cards?
Not a thank you one very often, may I say.
My mama says she a mess.
Come on. She's the best.
Yeah, she is. That's it.
One over there.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I just want to say, Ms. Clara, that I also spoke with Judge Hassel. You know, he had a family commitment well planned in advance, but I'm just going to say I'm going to miss you. Yeah, I think that the precinct has been enlightened by your presence, by all the years that you have been working, you know, within Dallas County. And of course, because in every picture, you're the one that everybody sees first, no matter what. You know, you're being a great, great asset, you know, for Dallas County. And of course, we appreciate your almost 26 years of service. So, un abrazo, and please, I will keep following you in Facebook.
Yeah, Miss Clara, you are not done yet.
Oh, I know that.
You can tell by the way you are ready, as they say, for the next stage of what's coming up. You most certainly will be missed, because we do hear of all the good things going on in a lot of different places. So thank you for all that you've done, and thank you for what you're going to do.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Constable Orozco and Chief Bromley, for being here.
I'm blessed.
Okay. I've used up my quota of resolution for the rest of the year.
Please, and we will remind you.
Our last two resolutions
But those were fun.
are mine, and we've got speakers on the first one, so will the bailiff please read the rules of decorum for our public speakers?
All Commissioner Court attendees are hereby advised that this meeting is conducted in accordance with the provisions of the Dallas County Code, Section 74-71. Visitors and registered speakers are to preserve order and decorum at all times. Personal, profane, or slanderous remarks are not appropriate and will not be allowed at any time during this public meeting. Any and all applause is to be kept brief in observance of time constraints. Disruptive visitors and registered speakers may be removed and are subject to the penalties provided in the State of Texas Penal Code, Sections 38.13, 42.01, and 42.05. The registered individual speakers are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes, and the maximum discussion on any one topic is limited to 30 minutes.
So our first resolution deals with a redistricting committee, and those who are there in support of that resolution, feel free to come forward. And after I read the resolution, before we vote, we'll give the two public speakers an opportunity to address the court.
There's 2 or 3.
Hi there.
There's 3.
Or maybe there's more than 2.
Yeah.
However many there are.
4.
4, okay. The 4 public speakers are. Everybody get a chance that signed up.
Come on forward.
All right. This is, as I said, a resolution dealing with redistricting, and it reads as follows. Whereas the citizens of Dallas County and the state of Texas deserve a fair, fully transparent, impartial, and depoliticized process of the drawing of state legislature and congressional districts of near equal proportion, and whereas the current state legislature and the United States congressional districts are drawn in an attempt to establish political advantage for a particular party or group by manipulating district boundaries and create a potential conflict of interest as state legislators are effectively choosing their own constituents, and whereas the redistricting process should be conducted in an open manner and include public hearings, set timelines, and and access to redistricting tools and proposed plans, so that our community has a real opportunity for public dialogue and feedback. And whereas public input and involvement in the redistricting process will empower our communities by allowing them to elect representatives who represent their interest on issues that are important to their lives. And whereas the boundaries of state and congressional districts are currently drawn by legislative incumbents with a simple majority vote, often sacrificing the integrity of communities, neighborhoods, and cities. And whereas the important principles such as the protection of the Federal Voting Rights Act, the respect for neighborhoods, towns, and cities should be clearly listed for any redistricting process so that our communities are kept together. And whereas voters are more likely to participate when they feel their vote will count and they have a reasonable chance of electing candidates who represent their interest. And whereas elected officials are more responsive to constituents when voters have a choice of candidates, thus increasing accountability and serving the best interests of the voters of Texas. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Dallas County Commissioners Court does hereby support legislative efforts to establish a citizen-led commission composed of Texas voters who are representative of the state's diversity, partisan balance, and geography for all future redistricting. This independent commission will oversee the process to draw the lines of the state Senate, state House of Representatives, and congressional districts. Be it further resolved that we call upon those elected officials and party leaders in the state of Texas who represent the citizens of Dallas County to publicly announce their support of and commitment to work towards passage of such legislative efforts, and that a copy of this resolution be delivered to each of them. And I so move.
And I second.
And before we vote, we'll hear from our public speakers. And our first speaker on this issue is Mr. Dave Jones.
Morning. I'm Dave Jones. I'm an attorney here in Dallas and the president of a nonprofit organization called Clean Elections Texas. Our group works on voting rights issues and campaign finance reform issues, and we're part of a coalition, a broad group of other organizations, including the League of Women Voters, Common Cause, Public Citizen, a number of other good government groups that are called, we have an coalition called Fair Maps Texas, and we're here and very much appreciate the opportunity to speak to this issue. That organization is promoting in the legislature right now various proposals, one by Representative Niave, one by Representative Anchia that's slightly different, and Representative Howard in Austin, to create an independent redistricting commission. And we think it's very important and thank you, Judge Jenkins, for making this proposed resolution for the counties and the cities to go on the record about this important issue, to let the folks in the legislature know that the current system that we have has an adverse effect in many ways on localities and counties by cracking and packing different communities of interest, different racial and ethnic minorities, various other groups into certain areas to effectively dilute their vote. And it has the effect of actual intentional voter suppression, and we would like to see the Texas legislature do something about that. Unfortunately, the way our system works here, there's no citizens' initiative, so the legislature has to do that. And that's why this resolution is so important. The way this system works as far as Dallas County is concerned, I'm sure you're all familiar. There are a number of examples of where legislative districts have been drawn so that different parts of Dallas County have been sort of chunked in with huge portions of rural counties. I think specifically the state senatorial district that Bob Hall represents, it's Senate District 2, I believe, takes a big chunk out of East Dallas and puts it into East Texas and North Texas, and that has the effect of diluting the urban vote. And that's just one example. There are other examples of the state legislative districts that I'm sure you all are familiar with. The other example I thought it was State House District 108 that cuts across Dallas, the city of Dallas, in a way so that it places a lot of low-income folks in East Dallas into areas of North Dallas where they have been disadvantaged. That vote in that district was very close this last time, but it has a significant impact. These proposals would create an independent commission that would have the power to draw the lines instead of the legislators themselves. But the proposals that have been made and that we're advocating for provide for a commission that is very carefully vetted, that is very independent, and has a lot of different criteria that are associated with it.
Thank you, Dave. You're out of time. I don't know if I mentioned there's a 3-minute time limit. My bad for not mentioning that. Our next speaker, as you look up here, if it works today, as you look up here, there's a little like sign, stop sign, or stoplight rather. When it's yellow, it's 30 seconds, and red is stop. And when it gets to red, just finish your sentence and your thought. Dave, thank you for.
I apologize
for
going
that's
over.
my fault,
Judge.
Dave. Thank you so much for coming.
Once you get me going, it's hard to stop me.
Sure. Hey, you're a lawyer.
And I do have to say, I'm very
Especially
humbled to
lawyers.
be here after the people that were recognized this morning. It was just very impressive.
I want to see you wear a hat next time you're in here.
Yeah, thank you.
And where's your corsage, man? Our next speaker is Miss Joan Ridley. Hello.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Mr. Jenkins. My name is Joan M. Ridley, and I live at 5100 Victor Street, Dallas, Texas, 75214. I am here today as a resident of Dallas County in the state of Texas. I am not here to represent any group. However, I am a very active member of League of Women Voters, Common Cause, American Promise, and Independent Redistricting Texas. I support agenda item G.5, a resolution in support of an independent redistricting commission and redistricting reform for Texas. My viewpoint in supporting the establishment of an independent citizens redistricting commission is as follows. I speak at public forums to educate groups that want to learn more about voting issues, especially partisan gerrymandering and big money in politics. I participate as a member of the League of Women Voters that visit the local community colleges in an effort to register students to vote. I've campaigned for candidates in U.S. House District 32 and Texas House District 108. Voter turnout in Dallas County is extraordinarily low, due in part to partisan gerrymandering, which is having a negative impact on voter turnout. It zoomed from 4% to 10% in the fall of 2018 midterm primary elections. And while we were very proud of the large increase in voter turnout, we all know how tragically low that percentage is. When we speak with students, some don't want to register to vote. When we ask them the reason, they tell us, quote, "My vote won't count," unquote. Sorry, I get emotional, but it breaks my heart to hear them say that. We hear them mostly from the black students. Tragically, if they live in certain districts in Texas, they just might be right. When campaigning in 2018, I walked up and down streets in U.S. House 32 and Texas House 108 districts. I noticed the huge disparity in racial disparity, economic and racial disparity within these districts. Although I study redistricting and gerrymandering and am fairly knowledgeable about the issue, walking those districts brought it home to me what it means to pack and crack those districts. These are two of the 4 strategies that our legislators in Austin use to ensure that the majority power will remain in office for the next 10 years, even if the opposing party receives far more popular votes. During the campaign, I met a black woman who had not voted in 20 years. She lived in a rundown apartment only 4 blocks from my own home in Old East Dallas. She did not know if she could vote, much less who the candidates were. I registered her to vote right on the spot. She was so happy that I knocked on her door because no one had asked her to vote for many years. Her needs and concerns are very different from my own, even though we both live in U.S. District 32. It is these people who are being disenfranchised as their concerns and needs are not being represented. I am here today to represent the people who sense that their vote does not count, if they vote at all, although they cannot articulate this concept called gerrymandering. They live in plain sight, but we are ignoring them by allowing the voting inequalities, which includes partisan gerrymandering, to continue.
Thank you. You're out of time.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Riley.
And our next speaker is Mr. Mark Elkin. I'm sorry, Mr. Robert Elkin, beg your pardon. Yes. I got a buddy from college named Mark Elkin, sorry.
Thank you. I am here to speak in favor of the resolution on behalf of 2 groups today, March to the Polls and Temple Emmanuel of Dallas. March to the Polls, of which I'm a director, is a voter engagement coalition that works to register, motivate, and turn out voters, primarily those who have not previously participated in the political process, and I've got 2 other directors, Richard Marcus and Harry Davis, here in support. We've registered thousands of students in DISD over the last few years, and we've launched 2 partner organizations, a Latino Voter Engagement Coalition and a Student Voter Engagement Coalition. Temple Emmanuel is a Reformed Jewish congregation of over 5,000 members with a long history of social justice work in Dallas. The board of Temple Emmanuel has authorized its advocacy committee to advocate in favor of expanding and enhancing voting rights. And I'm here as the leader of the Voting Rights Initiative of the Advocacy Committee, and we've got Larry Ginsberg, a past president of Temple Emmanuel, and Alice Barnett, they're the co-chairs of the Advocacy Committee. Both of our organizations have been working in conjunction with the other organizations that you've heard from, or will hear from, League of Women Voters, Clean Elections. So I'm not going to repeat their statements, which we fully endorse. I did want to give a little context about this resolution that's before you. It is, as Dave mentioned, it is the product of the Fair Maps Coalition, which includes the Texas branches of national organizations. The movement to get rid of gerrymandering and to give the job of setting congressional and state legislative districts to an independent citizens commission is a national movement, and it is a nonpartisan and bipartisan movement. Some of the main figures in the movement are the Republican former governor of California, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and former Attorney General Eric Holder. The use of resolutions by local governments, particularly urban governments, which are most impacted sometimes by gerrymandering, has been used across the country to generate momentum and to send a message to the state legislatures to end the practice of gerrymandering. In Pennsylvania, for example, 300 local governments did that. So far in Texas, through the work of the Fair Maps Coalition, we have the City of El Paso, the County of El Paso, and the City of Austin have passed similar resolutions. So why Dallas should join the fray? At March to the Polls, we echo what Jonas said, that we find that when we're registering people, the biggest obstacle to people voting is the sense that their vote doesn't count. And with gerrymandering, that's often the case. And to speak on behalf of Temple Emmanuel, our faith tradition teaches that in a just society, people should have a voice in selecting their leaders, and when those voices are diluted, it runs counter to what a just society should be. So we hope you will pass the resolution, and we thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, and Diane, you're our last public speaker, so come on out.
Good morning. My name is Diane Tassian. My address is 3831 Turtle Creek Boulevard, Dallas, Texas, 75219. I come as a board member of the League of Women Voters of Dallas, and am speaking in reference to Agenda Item G.5, a resolution in support of an independent redistricting commission and redistricting reform for Texas. I speak on behalf of League of Women Voters of Dallas and League of Women Voters of Texas. The League of Women Voters is a 99-year-old network of nonpartisan, grassroots, volunteer groups organized at the local, state, and national levels. League of Women Voters Texas has held a position on redistricting since 1984, and that was updated in 1999. Nationally, for much of the League's history, redistricting was considered a state and local issue. But as the political gerrymandering of the U.S. Congress has become more apparent, the League of Women Voters U.S. developed a nationwide position statement in the 2014-2016 biennium. It is the League's strong belief that the power of redistricting should be vested in the people by creating an independent Citizens Redistricting Commission with membership that reflects the diversity of the unit of government, including citizens at large, representatives of public interest groups, and members of minority groups. Furthermore, decision makers should be free of conflicts of interest. Freely choosing their representatives in an issue of deep principle is an issue of deep principle for voters of all political stripes. In the first ever bipartisan survey on partisan gerrymandering and the Supreme Court, published in September of 2017 by the Campaign Legal Center, it was found that first, an overwhelming majority, 71%, of Americans want the Supreme Court to place limits on lawmakers' ability to manipulate voting maps. This includes 80% of Democrats, 68% of independents, and 65% of Republicans. Second, 62% of voters are less likely to support a candidate that supports partisan gerrymandering. And third, 73% of voters support removing partisan bias from redistricting, even if it means their preferred political party will win fewer seats. The League of Women Voters is heartened by the increase of public awareness this survey demonstrates and is pleased to stand with others in asking you to adopt this resolution. Thank you for your time.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Diane.
Thank you all. And two people that didn't speak, just a quick shout out. I see representatives from Dallas Area Interfaith who do so many good things and have been a particularly close partner in talking to our least fortunate residents here and citizens here about the opportunity to get health insurance in a variety of ways, so appreciate that. And then Richard Marcus is here,
Richard.
And I love this guy, and I love what he and Eric Cedillo are doing in the schools. One of my favorite things to do is go read to little kids in school, right? Because you see their face light up, it kind of puts things into perspective. What they do is deal with those kids about 10 years later, when those kids are old enough to vote and they're seniors in high school. And, we do a great job of telling kids that America's exceptional and the greatest democracy ever, but we don't do really a great job of getting them engaged in the process. These folks go stand in the gap and get those kids registered, and I've seen the same look on those kids' faces when they get registered as I see in the little kids' faces when they have visitors in school and reading the idea that they actually can cast a vote and make a difference. Moves a lot of kids, and so thanks for y'all's great work on that. Any comments on this resolution before we take a vote?
Yeah, I have a comment. Question for all of you. About 36% of Dallas County voters, at least, have voted for the Republican at the top of the ticket, particularly in this last election cycle, and before closer to 40%. Today we're just talking about both the state and the congressional maps. When and if after the census, when we start looking at our county maps, if the body decides to create 4 heavily Democrat districts, would you be supportive of that, or would you make sure that we have at least 1 Republican district on our county map?
Speaking for the League of Women Voters, I would say that we would support a fair process, and whatever the results of that is, we would support.
Would it be unfair if Republicans were not represented in the Commissioner's Court when 36% of the county votes Republican?
I'm not sure I can answer that
Sure.
in terms of redistricting.
Well, answer this question for me. Has anyone here in front of me voted in a Republican primary? Can you raise your hand? Okay. And do you consider yourself currently a Republican?
No.
Okay. Well, yeah, and that answers a lot in regard to the partisanship of this issue. Democrats have taken this, and they're essentially in places where they are not the representative party, using it as a tool to gain hold of the maps without winning writ large at the ballot box. Now, in judicial elections, and this is where the intellectual dishonesty hits its height, the governor has decided that he wants to appoint judges in urban areas, something that I'm guessing you would disagree with, that the electorate should decide who puts their judges in there. Well, if we have these nonpartisan committees, which are never nonpartisan, everyone shows up, every individual shows up with some partisan leaning, not elected, nonpartisan committee is eventually going to be poisoned, and it'll eventually lead to partisan maps. At least we know what we're getting when we elect our folks down there and we have them draw the maps. If you don't like it, win at the ballot box. I do not support this. I think it's anti-democratic, and you should be ashamed of yourself, because the League of Women Voters is supposed to support voting rights, not diluting voting rights.
Okay, and I'll caution you, our rules of decorum don't allow us to say that speakers should be ashamed of themselves. I appreciate your comments, but be aware of that. Let me also say this on those comments. I am a Democrat, but having represented in court people's voting rights since the 1980s, the fact that this county votes over 25%, well over 25% Republican, will be a strong fact in my mind as I look at this, my votes on redistricting in the next cycle. But Commissioner Garcia, you had comments as well.
Well, thank you, Judge, for this resolution. Thank you to all our speakers for being here today. The reality is, I've been elected, to the Dallas City Council and now to the Commissioner's Court. And I seen, how much money goes into voter suppression and how little money goes into voter registration. And like Ms. Riley say, and rightly so, I seen young people telling me the same thing, Ms. Riley. People that look like me, that have an accent like me, that usually are women and minorities, that say, why would I do that, Dr. Garcia, when I'm not going to elect someone that looks like us. And when I see that, it's heartbreaking. You're right. And how can I say no to a resolution that is going to try to do something different? That is going to be a bipartisan effort. I don't know if Commissioner Koch is right or not, that we all come with certain, alignments. But the reality is, here I am, in a 45 to 46% Latino city and a 42% Latino county, and I am the first Latino ever elected to the Dallas Commissioner's Court. How can I not support a bipartisan effort that when we still, with those numbers, we have a congressional or senatorial district that is represented by a Latino in the North Texas region? How can I not support a resolution that has people like all of you working in the trenches, going to school, convincing, can you believe this? Convincing young people that they have the right to vote because this is the country of the American dream? How could I not support this, when I see, how Dallas County is growing and that we're not represented? So, I am just going to say that, when you talk about what we've done in this county to increase participation, and we're still one of the lowest voting, counties in the, and states in the United States of America, something has to change. And for me, the worst thing that I can hear is that things have been done this way forever, so why would you change it? It's the way we've been doing it since the beginning of times. If I did that as a dentist, we'd still be doing root canals with silver points. You wouldn't like that, right? Or anesthetizing people with syringes that were a lot thicker. So, it's time for change, and change is hard. And it's time for seeing the new America where everyone will be represented. When we all do what is best for everyone rather than is best for one party. How could I not support a bipartisan effort like this when I have you in front of me? I have no idea, but you bet I'm going to support you, all the way to the top. Gerrymandering is still out there. And I was elected in a district that I didn't supposed to win as a Democrat in a Republican district. So, hey, change is coming and it will be better for all of us. Muchísimas gracias por estar aquí a todos.
Well, as probably the only member of this court, I'm glad to see fair mapping and all these other coalitions come along. 34 years ago, we formed, with a guy by the name of Fred Myers, a coalition for minority representation. We had something called the Trinity River that all of a sudden the African-American community inherited between the 5th and the 24th district. Now, I'll never forget, as the leader of that coalition for minority representation, this court was predominantly Democratic. And the decision was to decide whether or not there would be a district of color. And it was tossed back between districts 3 and 4. And there was a guy by the name of Roy Orr, and I remember who cast the vote, and I was here, and I was part of that. Frederick Douglass said that too long have others spoken for us. It's now time for us to speak for ourselves. And I think that's all anyone in this so-called yet-to-be democracy wants, is an opportunity to speak for ourselves. I'll answer your question Commissioner Carr, this court in its last deliberation saw those numbers with regards to individuals who decided to vote in one primary versus the other or vote in the general election. And as such, in the design of the districts, created a district that was majority Republican voters. The travesty is that, as you said, these political leanings and the shenanigans that go on somehow gets immersed in what I call racial politics, because at the end of the day, the Voting Rights Act was created for people who had been historically disenfranchised. And while the majority of this court does not look like me or Commissioner Garcia, what we're seeing now is a so-called subterfuge in using that Voting Rights Act to say that somehow we're impairing the voting rights of people who are historically or have been historically the majority in this country. So I'm real clear of all of the shenanigans. And my position is very clear, and I'm going to support it. But it's about just one person, one vote. That's all we've asked for. And unfortunately, while we're talking about in self-interest commissioner's district, the state legislature draws legislative district and congressional districts, let me tell you something. Some of us are looking at school districts. And for me, in terms of the whole educational process and this whole thing with public education versus charter schools, and I'm not going to get into the politics of it. The court has heard me bring this up before here with regards to what I consider to be the siphoning of public dollars from public education, which is supposed to be, the great step up to this whole charter school, where we don't elect nobody, everybody's appointed, and you're still getting taxpayer dollars. And so, I understand all this. I'm always supportive of any resolve to try to make it better. But at the end of the day, it's about not bondaging those individuals who historically have the same rights as we do. People who may not look like us in these yet to be United States.
We'll hear from Commissioner Daniels.
Yes, thank you very much. I would like to, first of all, thank you very, very much for coming down and for the presentation of us once again to review as American citizens the concept of a representative government. One part of this that I don't think has been mentioned so far is that representative government is intended to give voice so that people can, in fact, express their thoughts by choosing people of their choice. We do not have a good record at all of creating systems that allow that, encourage that, and oftentimes we've created systems that are barriers to that very concept of allowing voice and that expression of choice. I also believe very strongly in we're not done yet, first of all. Second of all, if we don't stand up, then who will? And that you do continue to strive for the ideals that I know that many people sitting here also feel very strongly about. When I was making the decision to run for office too, I took into account who were the people in Dallas County who would be those looking at their representative on this particular body. And part of that is seeing of the options that you have, how do you encourage the voice of the myriad, of the mosaic of people who we have? And therefore, I am very much in support of figuring out better ways to, in fact, not be a barrier to people's expression, to encourage the access of everybody to the table so that their voice, in fact, can be heard. So thank you very much for bringing forward the resolution, Judge Jenkins, and for just the great number of people across Dallas County from a lot of different spots who also feel a great commitment, dedication to the ideal of voice of everybody. Thank you.
And I want to thank y'all for being here. Commissioner Price talking about that reminds me we are currently being sued. I think it's still going on. It's been going on for like 10 years by a group of voters, white voters, who say that we diluted their voting strength because we did not try to build two Republican opportunity districts that would have been iffy at best for Republicans winning. We looked at those districts, and had we done that, there'd be no Republicans on the court, assuming that the vote would have been about like the baseline for unknown, like a Court of Appeals race or something. They both would have been about 55% Democratic districts at this point. But there's always, partisanship at play. There was a conversation, I can't remember if it was a deposition or a court hearing, where someone pointed out Judge Jenkins is white, and so 60% of the court is white, and the response from the other side is not our kind of white. So I don't know what that means. I don't know if it's for freckles or what it is, but I just think, partisanship plays a role there.
There was something odd about you.
Something about this, right? But, we have districts now that this needs to be addressed because we have districts, you pointed out Bob Hall's district, which has a bit of Dallas, but not enough to control on issues. So on issues, transportation issues that were important to Dallas, the bulk of the voters support something different than what the overwhelming majority of Dallas County suburban residents wanted. And Senator Hall represents his district by opposing, any managed lanes, any tolling, anything of that nature, which is not the will of the people in the Dallas portion of the district by huge margins. And then we have Lance Gooden's district that has a portion of Dallas, but stretches into deep East Texas. In Harris County, you have a district that goes from Harris County all the way to Paris, Texas. And those are all great places. I love Paris, I love Harris County, I love deep East Texas, and I love Dallas, but if we could get things more compact, not based on drawing a district so a certain outcome can be predetermined, but communities of interest, then we'll have better legislation. So that's why I support this. With that, I think we're ready to take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed?
No.
Motion carries 4-1.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And I have the last resolution, and that is a resolution dealing with our authority to hire outside counsel and determine what happens in cases affecting Dallas County without those cases being taken over by the Attorney General's office. And so that resolution reads as follows. Whereas Dallas County is the second largest county in Texas with approximately 2.6 million residents, and as such incurs significant costs when bad actors perpetrate a fraud or injury on the public health. Current Texas law allows Texas counties to hire outside counsel for matters outside the expertise and operations of the county and district attorney. Current law also allows for contingency-based contracts where the taxpayers pay no fee unless the county collects money on their behalf. And whereas Dallas County recently negotiated a 12.5% contingency fee with nationally renowned lawyers to represent us in attempts to recoup millions of dollars from the parties allegedly responsible for costing our county millions of dollars from the opioid epidemic. That contract is the lowest percentage fee in opioid litigation anywhere in America. Because of our due diligence, we now have a timely, sophisticated legal representation at a price we can afford. And whereas in 2015, the 84th session of the Texas Legislature passed House Bill 1794, which restricted local authority to file certain suits and capped the damages a local entity can recover on behalf of local taxpayers after a legal judgment. And whereas these bills would and do limit local control so the statewide officials can substitute their judgment for the counties. That is not in keeping with the principles of attorney-client relationship, and it's not what the counties or Constitution intended. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Dallas County Commissioners Court stands in opposition to the limitation on local authority to bring such suits independent of whether or not the Texas Attorney General brings a related suit, and the authority to select and retain outside counsel following contract terms administered by the Comptroller of Public Accounts and without approval of the Texas Attorney General, as proposed by House Bill 2826, House Bill 3981, House Bill 2003, Senate Bill 28, and Senate Bill 970. Be it further resolved, the Dallas County Commissioners Court hereby calls for the repeal of provisions of House Bill 1794 during the 84th session of the Texas Legislature. And I may be missing a page here, I don't think so. And I so move. And there's second by Commissioner Price. Any discussion on that? Hearing none. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And we'll sign that, and if someone could get copies of that to Charles Reed, I believe he needs it today. Thank y'all. And next we have presentation. Commissioner Press, you have several
with the criminal district courts, we got our outside counsel, so I'm going to wait until after we deal with that. I have asked Ryan to prepare for the court a piece to show the DAs in the intake with regards to adversarial hearings on the criminal court side. Is that correct? And I think he has requested 2 district attorneys possibly to be placed in the intake with these magistrates hearing. So I've asked the court, and then we'll come back from that. But I wanted the court to know if that's in process.
When do you expect that to be done?
Actually, I need to talk with the DA's office and make sure, there's a private information related to the position we've already added to the DA's office, and ask whether they can actually perform this.
But they've utilized those individuals just...
We're definitely utilizing a remnant of the courts, but if you're going to be doing this in intake, the question is, how does that all fit through there?
Right. And this is in support of Plan A. So we're still there with Plan A, but this is exactly, and it is a good chess move. County clerk's office, district clerk, just of the piece omni fees, we're still, kind of processing that through. We've gotten a lot from the DA's office. The Linebarger Collections is on today for another extension, and I have challenged the purchasing department, and they're looking at that. So that is, I'm sure something will be coming forward with that, but it is on our agenda today for an extension for right now. Pretrial, that whole appearance data, I still don't have any with regards to appearance data. And so I'm going to, ask the court. I understand the BHLT, our BHLT was presented, I think it was about 2 months ago, Ms. Richardson, is that correct? Uptrust came to us and presented. And again, without getting into the outside counsel and what's going on in another county that's similar situated, it is going to be to our best interest to talk about Uptrust or a similar situated a process that will give us the kind of data. It makes no difference how many people we release. If these individuals are not returning for court and extinguishing, these cases, it makes no difference. They're just going back in our sheriff's warrant file. And I'm still for what I call this balanced system. And in terms of people who have some skin in the game, but we'll hear a lot more about that. But we're going to I will disseminate to the court what we get with regards to Uptrust, and we'll pass it over to purchasing, because I still say we've been doing this now. This is April, and I still don't know what the show rate is for people that we have released either on personal recognizance or on other grounds. I mean, until we get that kind of data, we're just opening the gates. And to me, I still don't understand it. The probate issue, I think that they have taken care of. I'm just keeping on as a running deal, and of course, the Dallas County Public Defender's Office, and then, excuse me, the whole thing with, truancy court, we're still waiting for, some operation and budget concerns with regards to that. I know that there are some of the school districts that are in my district who have contacted some of the justice courts with regards to a different operation, and so I will report to the court once we get there. Judge, that being the case, that's pretty much it.
Cool.
Consent agenda.
All right, we got the consent agenda, and I've got a note on that. I want to take a moment of, okay, well, wait a second, here's the note. I want to take a moment of personal privilege to announce the winners of the County Judge March Madness bracket, y'all! There were 45 participants in the women's bracket. There was a three-way tie for first place because they all picked the Baylor Bears to win it all.
Don't tell me you were one of them.
No, unfortunately, I can't. I compete, but I can't win. But if I could win, I didn't win. And the winners were Devon Monroe from the tax office, Katie McElroy from Swifts, Andrew Salazar Jr. from the public defenders. Any of those guys here? Probably not, but let's give it up for them anyway. And then in the men's bracket, and this is why you got to throw a shot in at both of them, because 45 in the women's bracket, 105 in the men's bracket, right? So prizes are the same for either, by the way. So there were 105 participants in the men's bracket. The men's bracket winners are, first place, Jose Moreno of HR, and somebody maybe shoot me a note and explain this, because there's no second place. It says third place, and then it says, that must be a typo here, because it just says Christopher from Juvenile, so I don't know if we got like people in witness protection. What is happening on that? But I know I said something to three people, so somebody send me that, we'll get your name shouted out here in this. On the consent agenda, I guess I don't have a note on that. No, just to move it. That was the note. All right, so shall we move the consent agenda, pulling personnel items for a separate vote? Is that correct?
No.
You do not want that?
No,
Okay.
even when, I continue to work with all the departments that only don't have enough diversity, but I will let it go this week.
So then. So moved. It was moved, and is your second? Second from Daniel. All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, we moved them both, including personnel on that. Now we have the bids. Is there a motion on the bid?
You know what, I'm going to move it, but I got a comment. I'm going to move the bids because it's two. One's a house and total demolition and a reconstructing house, and then the other one is the purchase of the dadgum storage boxes.
Yep.
I want to move it.
Well, I got a comment about that too.
Okay.
I'll second it so we can,
Yeah, so we
you
can
made your
discuss it.
comment, I'll make my
Okay.
comment.
Well, first of all, I had asked Rick for some information with regards to, you know, what's going on with these bills. And the reason I'm bringing this up, let me tell the court, this house is $94,000, and then that's fine. You know, my problem with the second bid is, hell, we spending $84,000 for some damn boxes. Now, look, you know, I want to know who's managing Consolidated Services. I want to know how many boxes we buying for $84,000. I'm building a house.
40,000.
Huh?
It's 40,000 boxes.
Yeah, but
On the bid sheet.
okay, but my point is that are we not shredding, recycling? I'm spending as much for some dadgum boxes as I am for building a damn house. And so, you know, I'm having some, you know, I'm just trying to figure out in Consolidated Services, are we shredding? You know, what the hell are we doing? Are we recycling? I'm having some trepidation about.
Sure. I can get you that information. There is a shredding program with Consolidated Services. You have 225,000 boxes in your warehouse, so there's a lot of use. But I'll get you a specific breakdown and bring back that information.
So we got 225,000 boxes over there. How frequently are we shredding? And I understand we got, you know, laws and retention, et cetera, but how are we not?
You have record destruction schedules that are applied. You also collect a lot of boxes from departments and shred them. So I can get you a specific breakdown and send that to the full court.
So I guess what I'm asking, Mr. Bazan, I guess I should ask you, you're telling me it's necessary about 40,000 boxes a day?
Is that like
No,
for
that's-
the
you buy 'em
rotation
by
during
the
a
slice.
year?
You buy what you need, right?
Well, I understand. But
Is there
still,
225,000 boxes at Panoramic?
With Panoramic and Front Settlement combined. And there may be other departments that use this as well, so let me just clarify that, and I'll have an answer for you.
Well, and then on that, and now I'm having a hard time finding it in my book, but I remember reading it. I think this is a great example of why we go out for bid on things. Because you've got one here at 80 some odd thousand, you've got another, here they are, you've got another at about 15,000 more, but then you get up to the hundreds of thousands of dollars more than that for some boxes. And I remember looking at this on my way back and forth to Austin. I was being driven, I wasn't trying to drive while doing that, but and wondering, these $244,350 boxes, you know, are those plated in gold or something? So I think that's the danger of when we do anything but you know, go out for bid, because you've got some of these that are just wildly, you know, two that are pretty close, 84, basically 85,000 and basically 88,000 when you round the numbers. But then the next two are 167,000, 244,000. So it really shows the importance of a vigorous bid process.
Well, again, my question's still the same. Hell, you know, I'm paying as much for some boxes as I am for building a house. Rick, I still didn't hear, this guy's performing, I did look at his EL1, et cetera, and has he been kind of regular?
He does a good job. He is really, as you could tell from the number of responses, he's also the only contractor who's consistently bidding.
Yeah.
We recently, I believe yesterday, got an application for a new contractor that will attempt to investigate and certify and see if they're qualified for doing work. But in the last couple of years, with the way the construction industry has been in this market,
He's got a list in our materials of nearly 20 homes that.
he's been a long-standing participant in the program.
Right, no.
And there's not that many builders right now in this price range.
That's exactly right, Commissioner.
Well, it may be on the county side, but I also serve on the DHAC board and Dallas Housing Acquisition Corporation. And when you look at, you know, the AMI and all, this is pretty much the range, and especially based on this size house.
And you're
Now, you're going to demolish it, I suppose.
Right.
I got that.
Yeah, but that's just a small portion of the
You're
cost.
seeing tremendous pressure now because of the trade war and other factors on raw materials to build. Yesterday, Senator West was pointing out on the floor of the Senate that the city of Dallas, just in the last year, has seen a 42% increase in the cost of rebar to build roads. And of course, you don't use a lot of rebar, you use some to build a house, but not a lot. But lumber prices have skyrocketed over, with the beginning of these trade wars. We've seen lumber prices, I don't know what they are right now, but at one point they were nearly up 50%. I think that's gotten better because of something Canada did or something. But I know they're still very, very high. So these bidders are having to deal with that to get their raw materials to build. That's probably the biggest part of this, not so much wage growth or other things, or they're trying to get profits. Just the stuff to build a house and to build a road costs a lot more. And Senator West, by the way, was pointing that out because he was pointing out how difficult it is to continue to do these projects if you've got an inflation rate on your raw materials of 42% and you're capped at 2.5%. It's a tough situation. But that's a different matter. But that's what we're seeing with the houses.
Well, but again, and then you bring up roads, and it's kind of something I know a little bit about. But 20 years ago, hell, I mean, we could expect materials in a road, to last 12 years, 13 years. Today, we're lucky if it lasts 7 years. They're putting less, oil, in asphalt. I mean, we recognize all of the construction material. All I'm saying is that if you got bidders who are working, when I look at DHAC numbers and see the number of houses that we're building, we basically put 300 in the queue every year. I'm looking at builders building in the city of Dallas. We're not building out in Seagoville and Balk Spring. We're building in the city of Dallas. And the houses are much larger.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. And when you look at the price points, this is what, 90, this one 94, 90,000. Hey, the $10,000, $15,000 difference, and you're getting a lot more house. So I'm just having some trepidation. But
No, it's a struggle that we've had the last couple of years, Commissioner, and we're constantly trying to recruit new contractors and also compare how our program operates and its rules with some of the other local programs to see if we've created an artificial barrier now that's making it difficult.
I think we have.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
I think that's something, yeah.
Where we can look at. I want to look at it. I looked at the size of this house, square footage, with the little portion of demolition, which you can probably go out there with a
backhoe and run into it.
Run into it, and take it down. But when I look at the difference between 94,000 and the 110, 115,000 we're building at DHAC, a lot larger house, and they're in the city of Dallas. And it's not as though they're creating infrastructure. They're not going in like Habitat and having to talk about, fire hydrants, water lines, sewer. They're not having to do all of that. It's part of this. So anyway, but I just want to revisit it.
Yeah, I think you're making a very good point, though, and part of it is being so aware of the role of the market in everything that we're doing, and that now when the market is very high, the prices are going to increase, and that still competitive bidding is something that must be a part of what we do in order to, first of all, allow more participation from more representatives from just across the market, but then also to aid in the competitive nature of what that whole system is supposed to create. So I appreciate you bringing that forward, because it's something that is always on our mind.
But it also is the biggest challenge.
Absolutely. It's not easy. There's no doubt about that. But it's still, if you don't have it on your agenda, I can tell you that you're not going to have more people
like that.
participating and willingness to work with Dallas County.
Yeah. And Director Frosch, if you could just, I'm curious, can you look at buy board and DIR contracts and see what boxes would have been? Because my bet is that we saved some money by doing this bid. You know, concern that I have with these buy boards is just because somebody else bid it doesn't mean it's the lowest and best deal we can get. I mean, it can be appropriate sometimes, but I think this is a good one because I guarantee you others have sought to get boxes, right? And we can kind of see, is this, if we had gone the easier route, would we have lost, how much money would we have lost?
Definitely. Yeah, and again, I'm fine, I was just using as an analogy, I'm spending much for some damn boxes, for build a house. I just, and
they're one next to the other one, Mr. Fresh, so
Spread them out next time.
Yeah, it's 1/3 of what you would have.
So we won't notice?
If you had to go with that.
Commissioner Price, I got a quick question on the, and pardon my ignorance about the other program, but is there any scale, on the housing programs, is there any scale advantage there? Is that are they building multiples? Is that why they're getting better pricing, or?
No. And it's interesting you say that because we had bidders, we changed the process, and I'm sure Mr. Frost is familiar with that. DHAC, Dallas Housing Acquisition Corporation, we changed the process because that's what Habitat and some of the other bidders were saying, that they weren't able to leverage because of that. But no, I'm talking about individuals who are building onesie, twosies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Apples to apples.
Yes,
Okay.
apples to apples.
Okay.
And all over. Oak Cliff, of course, West Dallas is out of the key now because of the values and the price. But when you talk about the other designated areas, these are guys who are building onesie, twosies, and larger house, so.
Okay.
All right, so any other questions about, or comments about bids? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next, we get to court orders K1 through 46 and addendums 47 through 53, and I have not received any request to pull. And there goes the finger. We almost hit a little red.
rephrase the finger part.
Item 31, I have something, Ms. Blair needs to read in the record just one item.
Oh, that's still on there, though.
50, I do need to hold.
We almost have it.
That's not a court hold, that's a staff hold. So.
31, Ms.
31,
Blair.
Ms. Blair needs to read something into the record on that one. Right.
And 50.
Mobility plan.
Okay.
And 50, I'm holding, I'm asking to hold, okay?
Right, no, and I agree with that, I was going there. Good.
Okay.
Oh, thank you, yeah. Because I had a question.
Is 50 the personal services for the?
IT purchasing.
Yes.
Yes.
IT purchaser.
Awesome, yeah.
Okay, for item
we talked about
31,
that.
I want to read into the record, we have a correction here. Instead of June the 20th at DeSoto Town Center, 207 East Pleasant Run Road, that needs to read June 19th at DeSoto Town Center, 207 East Pleasant Run Road.
So we just changed the date.
Okay.
Okay. See, sorry for stream of consciousness, but I'll forget this if I don't tell you while I got you here. So you know where we're doing the construction on the Bellaway extension, and there's a little on thing there on Lakewood Boulevard? There's a bunch of kids and others riding bicycles through there. Our fence is down. They're riding their bicycle over our fence. And we need to look at that, and what I would suggest, since there's so many of them, I mean, I watched like 8 of them do this in a span of like 3 minutes, is maybe find a little pathway for them to get from their neighborhood onto that, whatever it is, White Rock Trail, that White Rock Lake Loop there, because they're just tearing our stuff up. I mean, every time I've been over there, somebody has knocked the fence down. Once it was cut down, so they're gonna go through there. We just need to make them a little path where it's safe for little kids. Because I was afraid they were going to get their little feet caught in our, we have the orange, well, they knocked that down, so the little kids are all pedaling and going through it. So, meant to tell you that, but been busy with the tax mess. So, need to look at that before some kid gets hurt.
So when we get sued now, it's on the record that we knew about.
Yeah, so now we need to fix it right away.
How about we just call it an attractive nuisance just to get ourselves good and sued? Good.
We'll go look at it, Judge.
All right.
Very quickly, Ms. Blair.
Yes, please.
Well, you're making great progress out there. I just want to commend Public Works for the great job they're doing on that trail. It's a very safe trail we got.
On the serious record, yes. Ms. Blair, I mean, North Haven Trail is moving along, and also some of the other ones. Still having problems with some alignments and Calatrava Bridge, but we're going. Okay, before we get into words, thank you, Ms. Blair. And I just want to make a comment, item number 7. I don't know if Ms. Cuenca, Nelly Cuenca, and Monica Arellano, which are going to be serving in the Child Welfare Board, are here, but I want to thank them for serving Dallas County.
Right.
I wanted to mention, too, that it is a National Service Month, and Tim Sexton, who is the chair of that, of the Child Welfare Board, is going to be recognized by his board as being one of those people that I think has stepped up and made that board have a voice in important issues with child welfare and with CPS.
And you will be presenting the resolution, right?
Yes.
Commissioner? Okay. I also want to give kudos to Mr. Ryan Brown and Dr. Huang with the Health and Human Services Department for all the work in our senior centers and what we need to make them, work smoothly. So thank you to both.
There are 4 scheduled county meetings. As you know, the county is tasked with April the 22nd getting our plan to the Secretary of State for countywide polling places. August the 22nd is the deadline. August the 6th is our self-imposed deadline. I last week, along with Ms. Toni Pippins-Poole, a number of individuals, both from the Republican Party, precinct chairs from Richardson to Balk Springs, across the county, we kicked off the first countywide polling place, along with the NAACP and other individuals who are an integral part of our plan as we go forward and get ready for submission. She and her staff did a yeoman's job in that presentation. Hopefully it gave some guidelines and some guideposts as we go forward with the other 3 hearings. This is a real imperative when you look at the methodology for selecting judges, polling places, etc. There are 56 other counties that have their plans already approved by the Secretary of State, and we're in the process of putting our application together. But these hearings, these next 3 hearings, will be an integral part. And so I just want to thank Ms. Pippins-Poole and her staff for all they did. They were there at the DeSoto, it wasn't the Civic Center for a minute there. And just thank you for what you and your staff did.
And we have 3 more to go.
3 more to go.
We're moving along.
And I don't think we have a motion yet, so we'll take a motion on court orders 1 through 20.
1 to 46.
1 to 46, agendas 47 through 53, pulling 50, and taking all that Ms. Blair said into the record.
31.
So moved.
Second.
We can still discuss
Commissioner
it.
Daniels, and I second.
Ms. Blair, I just wanted to discuss a little bit of the Kimberly Horn suggested scoring on the mobility plan. In looking at this, it seems as though with the first 4 pieces of scoring, it's possible to shoehorn in kind of, the best way to put it would be not sexy to the state or the federal government interstitial roadways. And so I'll just read the first 4 and then kind of explain where I'm headed with this. The scoring includes this is the Kimberly Horn scoring for the mobility plan, for the record. The first strategic screening point system lists interjurisdictional project. So it's a project that crosses jurisdictions funded by more than one city, regional access, so connections to community institutions, hospitals, schools, etc., underutilized area, economic impact, facility type, I'm not 100% sure what that means, and I'd like some clarification on that. And then context, sensitive solution, that's probably not what we're talking about here. My only concern is that, you know, there's projects like Pleasant Valley Road up in Saxe that really will never connect anything big save for connecting people to the George Bush. But the importance of that road in between Saxe and Wiley and Rowlett is you know, pretty critical. It gets, you know, more than just getting to school, kind of bringing that part of the county together. Some of those smaller roads are I don't feel as though they are anticipated for scoring in this piece, and I know that eventually each of us as commissioners will get a chance to select projects. Do we kind of shoehorn some of those smaller priorities into the scoring here, or kind of how do we make sure that we're paying attention to some of those? Hey, you know, we're the cities in Dallas County, and it's great that the state wants us to continue to pave north and south, but I just got to get east and west to get my kid to a soccer match. So when are you going to fix that road?
The key is intergovernmental connections between cities. In other words, we're not going to be looking at roadways that just dead end or basically that are non-collectors. So in other words, we have to look at roadways that will definitely be connecting into other cities, other locations, because in one city you may have a priority that's not as high as another city. But again, we're looking at the regional significance of making that connection between cities.
Isn't that why we work with our cities, so that and in working together, we cover all the roads, but municipalities have their responsibility and we have ours, and they complement each other. Isn't that how it works?
Yeah, we've had many projects in the past where in every district. We're working on a project in District 3 right now where we have 3 cities all tied together. So again, it's looking at the regional significance and how to make those connections happen within the full region. So of course, we're working side by side with COG. You know, we're still looking at COG's master plan and their thoroughfare plan as well. But we're also looking at each city. So in other words, it does go, matter of fact, it will have higher points in the sense of making those major connections.
But is that what you asked, Commissioner Cook?
Kind of. I mean, I think it's better to think of it like this. If, you know, 635 and the tollway are probably kind of magnets when it comes to scoring. Because if my road ties into these larger arterials, I am necessarily going to be able to get to more schools, so, you know, those roads that are connecting to major arterials are going to be weighted higher in scoring, where some of these interstitial roads that don't necessarily directly connect to 635, you know, they may connect between, you know, Royal and something else, you know, but not go all the way down to 635 or, you know, go all the way up elsewhere. But, you know, regarding the importance to those individual communities, they're very important. I mean, that makes the difference between getting to school in 15 minutes or half hour, right? And I just want to make sure that this scoring somehow accounts for that, because those little roads can easily be overlooked because of the magnetic force of the major arterials.
This mobility plan has given us a greater ability to do that.
Okay.
Beforehand, we were just looking at making it to economic basis and so forth. If you looked at the report, we also mentioned schools, getting to key locations. So that's been a part of the process as well, is looking at different factors as well.
Yeah, flexibility.
And just to be very clear, this is not a criticism at all. I just want to make sure that I know how it works and that it'll deliver some of those much-needed dollars to some of those smaller, you know, really neglected roads.
You mentioned, once we go through and review the ranking and the information, we bring that to each one of you for review. Of course, the cities will also mention prioritization as well. Yeah. So we'll bring that all to you once we start reviewing all the different projects.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Call the question. Question's been called. All All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, that
All
passes
opposed?
unanimously. Next, we have,
Sir.
I've got a couple of speakers.
Oh, we have stuff.
Yeah. Now we have the speakers, you've already read the rules of decorum. Now we have the speakers who are not speaking on a matter before the court today, but have signed up to speak. And the first is Sandra Crenshaw, but I've not seen Sandra today. Sandra Crenshaw, are you here? Sandra? Don't see her. All right.
I can see her at all.
And I saw Latoya right there.
Put first things first, I did.
How about Kathy Laws? Miss Laws, are you here? Come on down.
Good morning.
Yeah, pull the, there you go.
All right. Good morning, and thank you for allowing me. My name is Kathy Laws, and I live at 7210 Coach Light Road, Red Meadows, Oaks area. I'm in a pending appeal lawsuit with a contractor in the Judge Jones Court on April the 5th. My case was dismissed by the Judge Jones after requesting a continuous on my case. He continued with the counterclaim, and he went in favor of the contractor. I feel it was a conflict of interest in my case, and I'm trying to see if there can be some type of investigation on my case. He posted a $17,000 security bond for me to appeal, and which is will be a hardship on me. My home is in a construction site, unfinished and unrepaired. The install that was done was wrong, and it shows poor workmanship. Now I'm trying to afford an appeal so that I could go forward. I don't feel that my case was frivolous. I'm a caretaker for my family. I'm the only one that does the work. And I've been trying to get my home repaired. And I've been dealing with this contractor. I feel that I could have been given a better respect and a better hearing in his court. I'm asking for advice or assistance on what can I do to allow my appeal to go forward.
Go ahead, ma'am. I'm sorry. I was asking.
I'm sorry. And
we were
because
talking about how we might help.
I will be in the position of paying this contractor money that he didn't earn, work that he didn't do, and his attorney fees. So I'm in a position of being put in a really bad hardship. And I'm not sure if this is the place for this, but this is the only place that I know. I am trying to borrow the money for the appeal so that I can go forward. But I have until the 26th of this month. What do I do? I'm a taxpayer. I've worked 40 years, and I work for my home, I work for my family. And I feel like this is such a disrespect to people in our community. And I'm aware of a lot of things that has gone on in the courtroom. There's nothing I could do about it, but I just hear the conversations and the problems.
I'll talk to you, ma'am.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
And our rules don't allow us to interact with speakers that aren't on our agenda. I'll just state as a legal matter,
Yes.
when you have appeals, there are strict time limits, so it's very important to adhere to those time limits.
Yes.
Commissioner Price will talk to you and see if anything can be done offline after court.
Okay.
I'm not saying these folks can help you, but.
No, I understand.
But you could perhaps call Legal Aid of Northwest Texas, which has an office right here in downtown Dallas. Sometimes they can give legal advice on things. All right? Sorry for your plight, and we can't really talk about it here.
I don't mean to bring the system, the environment down here. It's been really great being here, and I've seen a lot of positive things that's going on here, and I just would like for our community that I live in to be much better.
Sure. And you're...
We'll talk to you after court.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, and our last speaker, we're sporting that Tupac T-shirt. All right. Is LaColia London. Come on in.
Hello, how y'all doing? I'm LaColia London, 3805 Olney Court. I'm here because of Prepared Place. My uncle died December the 12th, and we buried him like December the 28th, and he was supposed to get cremated. Okay, Prepared Place decided to file his death certificate. And we had already pulled him from Prepared Place because they tried to go up on the price after they took him out the hospital. So they wanted $500 more. They wanted $2,900 at first, but then they wanted $500 more after they took his body out the hospital. So what we did, we went and got him from there and took him to Golden Gate. Well, Golden Gate went and got him. So when they did that, the problem we have is Golden Gate held my uncle's body for 4 months because they couldn't do anything. They couldn't get the death certificate. They couldn't do anything because Prepared Place had went and filed it. On the death certificate, it states that he was cremated in Louisville at a Martin crematory, which is a lie. We just buried him like 2 weeks ago because they told us as the family we had to go get the death certificate because somehow Golden Gate couldn't go get it. And that's abuse of corpse. It's happening here in Dallas. Prepared Place is new. They're abusing corpse, and we want something done. We will try to shut them down. That's one thing we will be working on, me and my family. Okay, another thing, I'm here because Pinkston High School, they had I came out here, I think, I don't know in the City Hall, but Pinkston High School had a lady to take, she filmed the girls in the weight room. And when she filmed the girls in the weight room, she did it and she got caught. So when she got caught, now DISD is saying they're going to investigate it now. This happened May of 2018. They let her come and coach the team the whole year. And she been using abuse of power with the girls ever since I made a statement about her taking these pictures. But I had a meeting like a week ago with Dr. Ramirez, and he said he's going to do something about it now, which something should have been done before that. The lady like women. So if you dig women, don't take a picture of our kids, because they're not women, they're kids, they're girls. So we want the Child Protective Service to go get her phone as well, and let's see what's in that phone. If she have anything inappropriate, she needs to go to jail. That's as simple as that. Another thing, my time right now. Another thing I want to talk about is well, forget it. That's all right. I don't have enough time. Well, I don't want to go is get an understanding of how nothing is being done right in this city. The Deep Ellum thing. I want to tell Judge Cruzo thank you, or whatever y'all call him. Mr. Cruzo, I want you to tell him thank you for putting that as a felony. And I really want y'all to understand the stuff that happened in Royal Crest is not a hate crime. It happens all the time. Please address the issue. Look at your files. You'll see that there's jumpings all the time in that area, plus Village Oak and Oasis. Please check out 3 apartment complexes. Thank you. Have a good day.
And we have some breaking news. Back to the bracket. Second place, Michelle Sharp of Swifts, and third place was Christopher James of Juvenile. And on that happy note, we will now go to our closed session to consider chapters 551 of the Government Code as previously posted. All right. And then we want to get a name called out.
Yeah.